I stand at the kitchen counter, crimping the edges of my homemade cherry pie with fingers that know the motion by heart. Through the window, the soft glow of an Ohio summer afternoon spills across the granite countertop, warming my skin as I shape each careful ridge of the crust. The movements are automatic, ingrained through years of repetition, the quiet discipline of habit guiding my hands. From the living room drifts the familiar soundtrack of another weekend at my parents' house, the steady murmur of baseball commentators rising and falling, punctuated by my father's occasional grunt of irritation at a missed play, and my mother's voice echoing sharply as she chases after my nieces. "Careful with that vase, Mom," calls out, her footsteps tapping quickly across the hardwood. "Ashley, can you please watch the girls?" My sister offers no reply. Instead, her voice carries clearly through the house, bright, polished, and rehearsed, broadcast from her phone to an invisible online audience. "Ladies, this shawl is 100% cashmere, and we only have 5 left in inventory. VIP members, remember to comment first to reserve yours." I press the final crimp into the pie's edge and slide it carefully into the oven, setting the timer before wiping my flour-dusted hands on the dish towel tucked at my waist. The roasted chicken still needs 10 minutes to rest. The salad waits in the refrigerator, dressing neatly portioned on the side. Everything aligned with perfect timing for Saturday lunch, as it always is. Every detail calculated, every step rehearsed. "I got a promotion," I announced to the room. My voice is steady, neither raised nor hesitant, simply stating a fact. "Senior clinical specialist. They're transferring me to the Raleigh office." The baseball game continues uninterrupted. Ashley's promotional monologue flows smoothly onward. My mother rushes past the kitchen doorway, pursuing a giggling 4-year-old. No one acknowledges my words. No one lifts their gaze. Silence swallows the announcement as if it never existed. I remain motionless in the center of the kitchen, feeling the weight of my statement dissolve into the air like steam rising from a pot. I tell myself I should be used to this by now, this persistent sensation of invisibility, of being present yet unseen. Still, it manages to sting every time. Later, we assemble around the dining table, the familiar one with the faint scratch beside my usual seat, a blemish I have tried countless times to polish away without success. The meal I spent the entire morning preparing sits carefully arranged in serving dishes. The chicken gleams golden with crisp skin, the salad vibrant with red tomatoes and yellow peppers, warm rolls releasing gentle curls of steam, and the cherry pie cooling patiently on the counter. "This looks wonderful," Dad remarks to no one in particular, already reaching for a piece of chicken. "Mom, Lily won't eat her vegetables," Ashley complains, barely glancing away from her phone where she continues responding to customer messages. "Willa, would you mind cutting her chicken into smaller pieces?" My mother echoes the request without waiting for my response, immediately turning back to Ashley. "How are sales going today, honey?" I slice Lily's chicken into neat, tiny squares, while continuing a conversation no one has chosen to join. The position comes with a 15% raise and a relocation bonus. I start in 3 weeks. Ashley's phone chimes. $2,000 in sales today already? She exclaims, finally lifting her head. Instantly, our parents turn toward her, their expressions lighting with the particular pride reserved exclusively for her achievements. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Mom says warmly. "Smart decision moving your boutique online," Dad adds with approving certainty. The heat of the chicken warms my fingers as I arrange it carefully on my niece's plate, yet a hollow coolness spreads through my chest. I recognize this sensation well. It is not quite anger, not quite sorrow, but something suspended between the two, a quiet disappointment that has settled into permanence. Mom addresses me again, but only to notice spill on the floor near the sink. "Would you mind?" I wipe the floor, serve dessert, wash dishes. When Ashley's youngest drops his fork, I replace it before tears can form. When Dad asks for more coffee, I refill his cup without prompting. This has become the family rhythm over the years. They require, I provide. They overlook, I accept. The pattern stretches far beyond this afternoon. Last Christmas, I spent 4 days helping Ashley package her boutique inventory while she attended holiday parties. 3 months ago, I used my vacation time to care for her children while she traveled to a fashion expo. Weeks before that, I drove Mom to 5 separate stores searching for a specific shade of curtains she wanted for Ashley's home. "Ashley has the kids," Mom once explained when I gently questioned the imbalance of responsibility. "She needs more help than you do." The unspoken truth lingered between us. Ashley possessed the drama, the complications, the endless demands that drew attention. I had none of that. I had competence, reliability, a willingness to help. After lunch, while Ashley continues live streaming her afternoon sales session and Mom takes the children shopping, I sit alone at the kitchen counter composing a message to the family group chat. My fingers pause over the screen before I type. Got my official transfer paperwork today, moving to Raleigh, NC on the 15th, promotion to senior clinical specialist. Very excited for this opportunity. I press send and watch the message deliver. One by one, read receipts appear beside each name. Mom, Dad, Ashley. No replies follow. I return to my apartment across town as the sun dips low behind me. My phone pings as I unlock the door, and for a brief moment, hope stirs inside my chest. The notification shows my mother has posted a photo in the group chat. I open it. Ashley's daughter sits at the table, her face smeared with leftover cherry pie. The caption reads, "Someone couldn't wait for dessert." Another notification appears. Ashley writes, "Just hit $2,000 in sales today, new record." I place my phone face down on the counter. Alone in the quiet apartment, tears slip down my cheeks, slow and silent. I make no attempt to wipe them away. There is no one present to witness them anyway. The day of my move finally arrives. The last cardboard box slides into place in the back of the U-Haul. I close the door firmly, the sound echoing like the ending of a long chapter. My apartment stands empty behind me, a space already stripped of memory. My phone vibrates. Mom's name appears. "Come home Saturday to watch Kids for your sister. Her live stream sales have a special event." I stare at the message, tapping my fingers against the metal truck door. 2 weeks of silence since my announcement, and this is their response. Not a question, but an expectation. I type a simple reply. "I can't. I'm going to North Carolina today." No explanation, no apology, only truth. I return the phone to my pocket and start the engine. The vehicle hums beneath my hands as I pull onto the road. 3 states separate me from my destination. Hours pass without response. The highway stretches endlessly ahead, mile markers passing like fragments of memory. Childhood birthdays displaced by Ashley's needs. Achievements overshadowed by her crises. Celebrations redirected toward her disappointments. The pattern reveals itself with brutal clarity. Not isolated moments, but a carefully constructed history. The mountains of West Virginia rise and fall as I continue south. Only after crossing into Virginia does my phone finally chime. "What do you mean you're going to North Carolina?" Mom asks 7 hours later. I do not answer. For once, I allow silence to speak. By sunset, I arrive in Raleigh. The air feels different, lighter somehow. I reach my temporary apartment, climb the stairs, and collapse onto the bed fully clothed. For the first time in 28 years, no one knows exactly where I am. The thought is both terrifying and exhilarating. 3 weeks later, I recognize my kitchen cabinets in the dark. I know the quickest route to work. A local coffee shop already remembers my order. My phone lights up one Sunday evening with a message from the family group chat. "Family party this weekend. Aunt Susan turning 60. Come early to set the table and help with kids." They have either forgotten my move or chosen to ignore it. I say nothing. Saturday arrives. I spend the day unpacking, organizing books, arranging photographs of landscapes rather than people. At mid-afternoon, my phone erupts with messages demanding my whereabouts. Later comes the accusation of selfishness, the familiar blame. That evening, seated on my new couch in my new city, I call my mother. "Mom," I say calmly, "I moved to North Carolina almost a month ago. I told everyone." She responds not with curiosity but with irritation, suggesting I should have reminded them. She speaks only of inconveniences caused by my absence, never once asking about my life. When she finally pauses, I mention my new position. She dismisses it politely before asking if I can provide money for Ashley's business expansion. I end the call. In the quiet afterward, something within me changes permanently. A realization settles with cold certainty. They do not see me as a person, only as a resource. For the first time, I do not call back. I do not apologize. Days pass. My absence alters nothing for them. They simply redistribute my duties among themselves. Meanwhile, my life unfolds differently. I learn independence, quiet, peace. 2 years later, morning sunlight floods my condo in North Hills. I step from the shower, towel in hand, noticing the changes in my reflection. My posture is straighter, my expression calmer. Toby's nails click against the floor as he approaches, his light brown curls damp from his bath, ears lifted in curious expectation. "Yes, Your Majesty, breakfast is next," I tell him with a smile. My home feels permanent now, filled with evidence of a career and life shaped on my own terms. Certificates line the office walls, silent proof of growth. The coffee machine hums while I prepare Toby's meal, his tail wagging eagerly beside me. There's a quiet rhythm to these mornings, a steady peace free from the relentless demands that once governed my time, a life no longer defined by constant messages or obligations. There's a peacefulness to these moments, a rhythm untainted by the constant alerts of a family group chat or the sudden demands for my time. Park after work? I ask Toby, who responds with an enthusiastic circle dance that makes me laugh. I'll take that as a yes. The park has become our evening sanctuary. It's where Toby met Benji the beagle 3 months ago, and where I met Jackson, Benji's owner. Jackson runs his fingers through dark hair streaked with early gray as he stands near the dog park fence later that day. At 33, he carries himself with the quiet confidence of someone who builds things that matter. His rehabilitation equipment startup helps people recover from injuries, a purpose I understand intimately through my work with medical devices. There she is, he says as Toby and I approach. I was telling Benji you might stand us up for some exciting medical emergency. And miss watching these two chase squirrels? Never. I release Toby from his leash, watching him bound toward Benji in a flurry of paws and fur. Jackson leans against the fence beside me, our shoulders not quite touching. How was the Cooper presentation? They loved the new device specifications. I smile, still getting used to sharing professional victories with someone who actually wants to hear them. How about the prototype testing? 3 successful trials today. He points toward a bench. Want to sit? We settle onto the bench, a careful few inches between us, that somehow feels more intimate than touching. There's none of the desperate need for closeness I used to feel with previous boyfriends, that urgent desire to secure their attention before they noticed my ordinariness. With Jackson, space feels comfortable, not threatening. The evening air carries the scent of grilling meat from a nearby restaurant. My stomach reminds me I skipped lunch for the Cooper presentation. Hungry? Jackson asks, noticing my expression. There's a new place that opened last week, farm to table, supposed to be amazing. 40 minutes later, we sit across from each other at a corner table, the restaurant's exposed brick walls and warm lighting creating a cocoon of privacy. I'm midway through describing a challenging client interaction when my phone buzzes. The screen lights up with a notification from the family group chat that has been silent for months. My hand freezes above my water glass. The familiar tightness constricts my chest, that Pavlovian response to family contact that precedes inevitable disappointment. Jackson's eyes flick to my phone, then back to my face. But he doesn't ask. This is what I appreciate most about him. He notices everything but doesn't pry, doesn't demand explanation for my reactions. I turn the phone face down without reading the message. Sorry, I say. Just old patterns trying to resurface. Jackson nods, understanding without needing details. Old patterns have a way of doing that, doesn't mean we have to follow them. No, I agree, picking up my fork again. We certainly don't. The waiter brings our entrees, and the conversation shifts to Jackson's latest design challenge. By dessert, I've forgotten about the unread message entirely. 3 days later, my cousin Ashlyn perches on my couch, Toby stretched across her lap like a furry blanket. At 22, she's the only family member who's made any effort to stay connected since I moved. This place is gorgeous, Willa, she says, looking around my living room with genuine admiration. The warm lighting casts gentle shadows across the comfortable furniture I chose piece by piece, a stark contrast to the hand-me-downs that furnished my apartment in Ohio. Thanks. It took a while to get it just right. I hand her a glass of wine, settling into the armchair opposite. How's the cross-country adventure going? Exhausting, but amazing. Ashlyn scratches behind Toby's ears. I've hit 12 states so far. Raleigh was definitely worth the detour, though. It's nice seeing you happy. She says the word like she's discovering it applies to me, and perhaps she is.
The Willa she knew in Ohio rarely had cause for happiness. I am happy, I confirm, surprised by how easily I can say it now. Work's going well. I have friends, Jackson. I trail off, feeling my cheeks warm slightly. He seems great, from what you've told me. Ashlyn reaches for her phone. Mind if I take a photo? This room is seriously magazine-worthy. Go ahead, I laugh, watching as she frames the shot, capturing the living room with its carefully arranged bookshelves and the soft glow of my favorite reading lamp. While she types on her phone, I bring our dinner to the coffee table, pasta carbonara, made from a recipe Jackson shared. Nothing like the elaborate meals I used to prepare for family gatherings that went unappreciated. Posted, Ashlyn announces, showing me the screen. The photo of my living room looks warm and inviting, but it's her caption that catches my breath. At my cousin Willa's home, she's got her own place, a wonderful boyfriend, and a life worth admiring. That's sweet of you, I say, touched by her genuine support. What neither of us anticipates is how quickly the photo spreads through the extended family network. By morning, notifications flood Ashlyn's phone, likes, comments, and messages from relatives who barely acknowledged my existence before. This is weird, Ashlyn says over breakfast, scrolling through her phone. Aunt Karen wants to know what neighborhood you live in. Uncle Rob is asking if you bought or rent. I take a sip of coffee, unsurprised. They never showed this much interest when I announced my promotion. Oh, it gets better. Ashlyn's thumb pauses over the screen. Your mom commented, "So lovely to see how well our Willa is doing," as if she's been involved in your life at all. The hollowness in my chest, that old familiar feeling, doesn't come. Instead, I feel oddly detached, as if observing strangers discuss someone who merely shares my name. Later that afternoon, Ashlyn shows me a screenshot that makes my eyebrows rise. It's a private message from Ashley to my mother. "Did you see Willa's place? Looks expensive. You should ask about her financial situation. Remember how she got all those bonuses? Maybe she could help with our situation." "Your sister hasn't changed," Ashlyn says, her voice tight with anger on my behalf. "No," I agree calmly, "she hasn't." That evening, after dropping Ashlyn at her hostel, I tell Jackson about the social media storm while we walk our dogs along a tree-lined path. "Are you going to respond to any of them?" he asks, voice carefully neutral. "I'm not planning to reach out first," I say, after considering for a moment. "But if they contact me directly, I'll need to decide how to respond." Jackson nods, reaching for my hand. "Your boundaries are valid, Willa. Stand by them." "I plan to," I say, squeezing his fingers. "They can only take what I choose to give now." When my phone chimes at 11:43 that night, I'm already half asleep. The screen illuminates with a message from my mother. "How have you been, honey? Your father and I miss you so much." Before I can process this sudden affection after 2 years of silence, another notification appears. Ashley this time. "So happy you're doing well. Your place looks amazing." My heart rate accelerates as I sit up in bed, Toby lifting his head from his cushion in concern. 2 years of silence, and now this flurry of sudden interest? The final message lands like a bomb. "We already booked flights from Columbus to Raleigh. We'll arrive around noon tomorrow. The kids can't wait to see their aunt." I stare at the screen, suspended between disbelief and a ridiculous flicker of hope. Maybe they've changed. Maybe they finally see me. But their timing, right after seeing evidence of my success, tells a different story. My phone rings, Jackson's name appearing on screen. I answer, my voice steadier than I expected. "They're coming tomorrow," I say without preamble. "All of them. They've already booked flights." His breath catches audibly. "That's sudden." "Very. What are you thinking?" I consider the question, sorting through the tangle of emotions. "I'm thinking they wouldn't be coming if Ashlyn hadn't posted that photo." "Probably not," he agrees. There's a pause then. "If you feel ready, see them. But don't let them make you feel guilty again." As I set my phone down, I realize my hands aren't shaking. The panic I would have felt 2 years ago has been replaced by something cooler, more calculated. They're coming to my territory now, into a life I've built without them, and this time I make the rules. I arrange the last throw pillow on my sofa, smoothing the fabric with a deliberate touch. This is my space, my home, my rules. The doorbell rings at 12:15. I count to 10 before answering, a small act of control that steadies my racing heart. "Willa?" Mom surges forward, wrapping me in a hug so tight I can smell her familiar perfume, the same scent she's worn since I was a child. "Oh, sweetheart, it's been too long." 2 years and 3 months, to exact. 2 years of birthdays, holidays, and milestones, celebrated without a single call. I return her hug with measured pressure, neither pulling away nor melting in her embrace. Dad stands awkwardly behind her, a box in his hands. "Hey, kiddo." His hug is brief, one-armed, his eyes already darting past me to the television mounted on my living room wall. "Game's on today. Bengals playing." Ashley appears last, her children racing past me into my condo before I can even greet them. "Your place is gorgeous," she says, air kissing my cheek. "The girls are so excited to see their aunt." The girls, who barely know me because their mother never bothered to maintain our connection. "We brought cake," Mom announces, taking the box from Dad. "Chocolate, your favorite." Strawberry shortcake has been my favorite since I was 7. I wonder if she genuinely doesn't remember, or if this is just another small erasure of who I actually am. "Thank you," I say, the words falling from my lips with practiced ease. "Let me put on some tea." In the kitchen, I hear the television switch on, followed by Dad's satisfied grunt as he finds the game. The girls' voices rise in pitch as they race around my living room, their sneakers thudding against my hardwood floors. From the corner of my eye, I watch one of them grab a crystal paperweight Jackson gave me for my birthday. "Amelia," I call out, my voice calm but firm. "Please put that back where you found it." Ashley laughs, high and nervous. "Oh, they're just exploring. Kids, you know." "I know they should respect other people's things," I respond, setting the kettle on the stove. "In my home, we don't touch what doesn't belong to us." A flicker of surprise crosses her face. The girl carefully returns the paperweight, casting a wary glance in my direction before rejoining her sister. Mom wanders into the kitchen, running her finger along my granite countertop. This must have cost a fortune, she says, disapproval lacing her words. Your place is so extravagant. I pour hot water over tea bags, letting them steep. I like my home. The company must pay you very well, Ashlyn joins us, leaning against the doorframe. What's the salary range for someone in your position these days? I place cookies on a serving plate, taking my time before answering. Competitive. But are we talking 6 figures? Her voice is casual, but her eyes are sharp. Do you get bonuses? Stock options? The benefits are excellent, I reply, lifting the tea tray.
Shall we sit in the living room? Ashley's questions continue through our first cup of tea. Does my company match 401 contributions? How much is my mortgage payment? Did I have to put 20% down? Each query designed to assess exactly how much money I might have access to. With each non-answer, her fingers tap faster against her cup, her smile growing tighter. Dad, I say during a brief lull in her financial interrogation, how's your volunteer work with the Youth Baseball League going? The shift works. For 10 minutes, conversation flows around safer topics. Dad's coaching, a cousin's new baby, Mom's garden club. I notice how Ashley's shoulders tense with each passing moment that doesn't involve my financial situation. When her oldest daughter knocks over a vase of fresh flowers, sending water across my coffee table, I rise immediately. Girls, I say firmly, in this house we sit calmly on furniture. We don't run or jump on the sofa. Willa, Mom begins, her voice carrying that familiar tone of correction. They're just being children. I know, and children need boundaries. I hand each girl a small book from my shelf. Here, these were my favorites when I was your age. Mom's mouth hangs open, clearly unused to me setting terms in any interaction. Ashley's smile has completely vanished now, replaced by a tight line of frustration. You've changed, Mom says finally, setting down her teacup with a small clink. Yes, I agree simply. The room falls silent except for the baseball game and the soft sound of pages turning as the girls, surprisingly, settle into reading. Dad shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Ashley exchanges a look with Mom, one I recognize from years of family dynamics, the signal that it's time to reveal the real purpose of this visit. Mom leans forward, her practiced sigh filling the room. Willa, sweetheart. Ashley's been struggling. And there it is. The boutique. Ashley jumps in, voice tight with rehearsed emotion. After 5 years in retail, I thought I was ready. I had the experience, the customer base. The story unfolds like a script they've practiced in the car ride over. Ashley opened her own fashion boutique after years working for someone else. The initial investment came from my parents. The business failed within 8 months. The personal guarantee she signed on the commercial lease left her owing $39,000 in debt. My parents' retirement savings are already strained from helping with the startup costs. They all lean forward now, a united front. Mom's eyes are wide with concern. Dad's expression solemn. Ashley's lower lip trembling perfectly on cue. You're doing so well, Mom says, her voice dropping to that special tone she uses when she wants something. You could sell your condo and help your sister. Dad clears his throat. You have a boyfriend with money, you don't need 2 homes. They've been here less than an hour and already know about Jackson. Someone has done their research. Think about the girls, Ashley adds, glancing toward her children. Help your sister and the children will have their mother back. I'm barely sleeping with all this stress. The hollow feeling spreads through my chest, a familiar sensation, but one I now recognize for what it is. Not heartbreak, but clarity. I watch them with new eyes, seeing the performance for exactly what it is. Their sudden appearance in my life after years of silence, the effusive greetings, the probing questions about my finances, all of it calculated, all of it designed for this moment. A memory surfaces, standing in my parents' kitchen announcing my promotion, the words evaporating into nothing. Another, texting about my move and receiving photos of Ashley's children eating pie in return. Years of being overlooked until I became useful again. Ashley misinterprets my silence as hesitation. It's not like we're asking for a handout, she says, voice rising slightly. I'll pay you back eventually. This is what family does, Mom adds, reaching for my hand. We help each other through hard times. Dad shifts in his seat again, eye starting between the television and my face. Your mother and I won't be around forever, Willa, you know. I take a slow breath, feeling the weight of their expectations pressing against me like a physical force. But for the first time in my life, I don't bend beneath it. Something has changed in these 2 years away, something fundamental. I'll think about it, I say finally, my voice steady. The first cracks appear in their united front. Ashley's cheeks flush with defensive anger. Mom's smile falters, unused to anything but immediate capitulation from me. Dad's attention returns fully to the game, a sure sign he senses conflict approaching. What's there to think about? Ashley demands. We're family. Yes, I think, as I look at these 3 people who share my blood but have never truly seen me. We're family. But I'm finally beginning to understand what that word really means, and more importantly, what it doesn't. Willa sat perfectly still, her calm exterior a shield over the storm inside. 2 years of distance had given her perspective, But now, facing them again, she recognized the familiar weight of their expectations settling onto her shoulders. They waited for her answer with the certainty of people who had never contemplated rejection. "I've helped before," Willa said finally, her voice even and steady. "I've tried for years to be heard, to be loved. All I ever got in return was silence and expectation." She looked directly at her mother, then her father, finally resting her gaze on Ashley. "I'm done." Ashley's cheeks flushed pink. "But we're family. You can't just—" "That word family," Willa interrupted, the first time she could remember cutting off her sister, "should mean care and respect, not debt collection." The words fell from her lips with a certainty she'd never felt before. "If being family only means I keep paying for everyone's mistakes, then no, I'm not part of that version of family anymore." Her father shifted uncomfortably, mouth opening then closing, words forming and dying before they reached his lips. The silence stretched between them. Her mother's eyes filled with tears, carefully measured to fall at precisely the right moment. "After all we've done for you, you're choosing money over your own family?" Ashley accused, voice rising. "Remember when I helped you move into your first apartment? Remember all the birthdays? The Christmases?" "Mom and Dad won't be around forever, Willa," her mother added, voice thick with emotion. "Is this how you want things to be?" Willa watched them deploy each weapon from their arsenal of guilt, recognizing the pattern like a familiar dance. They were performers who had practiced this routine for decades, and for the first time she saw the choreography clearly. "We wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate," her father finally managed, a rare contribution that signaled they had reached their final play. Willa took a slow breath. "When I got my promotion 2 years ago, I told everyone at Saturday lunch. No one looked up from what they were doing. I sent a message to our group chat about moving to Raleigh. Everyone read it, no one responded." She kept her voice level, recounting facts rather than emotions. "Last year on my birthday, my phone didn't ring once. When I called Mom that evening, she said she'd been busy helping Ashley with the boutique opening." Her family sat in uncomfortable silence as she laid out the evidence. 3 Christmases ago, I spent 4 days helping Ashley wrap inventory.
2 summers ago, I used my vacation days to watch the kids while she went to that fashion expo in Cincinnati. For years, I've been your babysitter, your extra wallet, your convenient helper." Willa kept her gaze steady. "And now, after 2 years without a single meaningful call or message, you're here because you need money." Ashley opened her mouth to object, but Willa continued. "The last time we spoke, Mom, you hung up on me when I tried to tell you about my new job. That was the moment I realized what I was to this family." She stood up slowly, walking to the front door. "I think that's enough for today." The sudden finality of her words sent a visible shock through her family. They gathered their belongings awkwardly, no one quite meeting her eyes. Her mother clutched her purse to her chest like armor. Her father moved with the stiffness of someone navigating unfamiliar territory. Ashley herded her children toward the door, their earlier exuberance subdued by the tension in the room. As they filed past her, Ashley paused at the threshold. "I didn't think you'd become so cold," she said, the words meant to wound. Willa met her sister's gaze directly. "I didn't become cold. I became clear." She closed the door behind them with a soft click that echoed through her apartment. Standing motionless in her entryway, Willa breathed slowly, feeling something release in her chest, a weight she'd carried for so long she'd forgotten it was there. No dramatic tears came. No urge to scream or throw things, just quiet certainty that she had, finally, done what was necessary for herself. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, the first of what would likely be a barrage of texts. Without looking, she silenced the notifications. For the first time in her life, she felt no compulsion to explain or justify herself. No need to answer immediately. The freedom of non-response settled over her like a comfortable blanket. Later that evening, she checked her email to find her family had already flown back to Ohio, cutting their planned weekend visit short. Her inbox filled with increasingly desperate messages over the next few days. Her mother's pleading, her father's awkward attempts at reconciliation, Ashley's alternating between apologies and accusations. The week after, cousins and aunts she barely spoke to reached out with casual, just checking in messages, their sudden interest transparent. To each, she responded with polite but brief replies, declining invitations to discuss the situation. 2 weeks after their visit, a final email arrived from Ashley, detailing in clinical terms the financial consequences their family would face without Willa's help. The boutique would close. Their parents might need to sell their home. The children would suffer. Willa read it once, then filed it away without response. The message was evidence that nothing had truly changed, still seeing her as a resource rather than a person. She closed her laptop and went to take Toby for his evening walk, leaving her phone behind on the kitchen counter. Outside, the North Carolina evening wrapped around her like an embrace, the air scented with magnolias and possibility. For the first time in years, she walked without the weight of obligation pressing down on her shoulders. A month later, I am back to my routine. Today, Jackson arrives at 7. the warm glow of sunset casting long shadows across my condo. He doesn't ring the bell or text, just 2 gentle knocks that Toby recognizes immediately. My poodle's ears perk up as he trots to the door, tail swishing with anticipation. "Ready?" Jackson asks, his eyes scanning my face carefully. He doesn't press for details, doesn't ask how I'm feeling after the confrontation. The absence of interrogation settles around us like a comfortable blanket. "More than you know," I say, grabbing Toby's leash from the hook by the door. At Jackson's house, the kitchen smells of baked salmon and herbs, his grandmother's recipe, he told me once. I watch him move confidently between counter and stove, his hands steady as he arranges food on simple white plates. Benji and Toby curl up on the kitchen rug, their bodies forming a perfect yin and yang of fur and contentment. We eat mostly in silence. Not the strained quiet I grew up with, the heaviness of words unsaid, the constant vigilance for wrong moves, but something entirely different. Peace, the gentle clink of silverware against plates, the occasional appreciative hum, the soft patting of paws as the dogs shift positions. After dinner, standing at the sink as I rinse our plates, I find myself describing the scene with my family. My voice sounds distant, clinical, like I'm recounting a movie I watched rather than my own life. Jackson takes the plate, wiping it carefully before placing it in the cabinet. "You did what was right for you," he says simply. 2 years ago, I would have launched into explanations, justifying my decision, offering evidence of past slights, building a case for my own defense. Tonight, I just nod. The freedom of not having to perform my reasoning feels weightless, buoyant. Later, as we sit on his back porch watching the dogs explore the yard, a realization settles over me like the evening air, cool and clarifying. My worth was never about my usefulness. The constant service, the desperate attempts to be indispensable, all of it based on the flawed belief that being needed was the same as being loved. I think about my morning walks with Toby, how they've transformed from hurried necessities into peaceful rituals. My promotion last month to regional director, accepted without a whisper of guilt. The dinner club I joined, where we talk about books and politics and silly TV shows, where no one keeps a tally of who hosted last. "You know what's strange?" I say, my voice soft in the gathering darkness. For years, I thought family meant blood relations, people you're stuck with. Now I realize it's about choice. The holiday photo card on my refrigerator flashes in my mind, me with Jackson and our friends at the lake last summer, all genuine smiles and unforced joy. No stiff poses or color-coordinated outfits like the Clark family portraits of my childhood. Just real people who choose each other's company. Months later, my phone rings while I'm watching the sunset from my balcony. My mother's name appears on the screen, the first call since the confrontation. "Willa," she begins, her voice tentative. "I owe you an apology. We all do." I feel my breath catch, then release. No racing heart, no desperate hope, just calm acknowledgement. "I appreciate that," I say evenly. "I need time." "Of course," she says quickly. "Whatever you need. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, we'd like to try again. On your terms." I don't rush to answer. There's no urgency anymore, no compulsion to fix or smooth over. I tell her I'll think about it, and we hang up. The next evening, Jackson and I sit on his patio watching our dogs chase each other through the yard. The setting sun paints everything in soft gold light. A quiet smile forms on my lips as I observe the peaceful scene we've created together. "What?" Jackson asks, noticing my expression. "For the first time in my life," I say. I'm not holding my breath. The words hang in the evening air, simple and true. Tonight was calm, and for Willa, that was enough. If you were Willa, if your family ignored you for years but came back only for money, what would you do? A. Help them out of family loyalty? B. Refuse but stay in touch? C. Cut them off completely to protect your peace? Comment your choice below, because sometimes the hardest thing isn't forgiving them. It's finally stopping yourself from waiting for them to change.